Hey, what's going on guys? Fitz here and welcome to another Cyberpunk 2077 video. Today I'll show you all the settings that you can adjust or change if you're playing on PC. This video is for those of you wondering about the settings that you can tweak before getting the game. Most of the settings have a description on what they do, and I'll just give my input on some of these. Also, most of you watching my videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if you find some of the videos helpful, you may consider subscribing. It really helps me continue making more videos. Alright, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so let's check the settings. The first setting is the sound. You can find some presets for your speaker setup. It's under dynamic range. You can set it to studio reference, headphones, TV speakers, small speakers, boost low or boost high. Under that, you can find the different volume settings. So you can adjust the main volume, sound effects, the dialogue volume, music volume, and the car radio volume. And next are the miscellaneous options, which include the mute detection sounds. It's actually the funny sound that you hear when you are detected by the enemy. So some players may not like it, so you can turn it off here. Next one is disable copyrighted music. This is mainly for content creators, like if you're making YouTube videos or you're streaming, then you have to turn this on so that you won't encounter any problems with copyright music. Also, CD Projekt Red mentioned that even though this is turned on, there are still some music or songs that might cause problems, so they recommended that you completely turn off the music or songs for now until they release the fix. So to do that, just go to music volume and set this to 0. The next settings will be for the subtitles. Cinematic subtitles are those dialogues that you hear or that you perform, or basically if you're talking to an NPC, then you can see what they're saying and also what you have responded at the bottom of the screen. The overhead subtitle are for those NPCs. Let's say you hear someone talking to another NPC, then you will see some bubble text, not really bubble, but some text above their head. So if you didn't hear it clearly, you can just read what they said. Alright, the text size is obviously how big the text is. This is the default, 52. You can change it to whatever you prefer. And the background opacity is for the subtitle background. To the right, you will see a couple of settings here. The gamma correction, which is just the brightness setting. The default is 1. You can adjust it to whatever you prefer. So I like it like this, so leave it at 1. The next is the control scheme. So basically it will just tell you what are or which buttons are mapped for what actions. Let's move on to the next setting, which is controls. So this is where you can adjust the controller vibration, level of vibration, inner and outer dead zones. Also, this is where you adjust the sensitivity and the access settings for your mouse and also for your controller. So basically there are first-person camera and third-person camera settings that you can adjust here. Alright, so let's move on to the gameplay settings. Under that, you will find the accessibility options. First one is the aim assist. I'm using a mouse and keyboard and I don't like aim assist, so I have it off. But if you turn it on or set it to light or standard, you'll have another option to snap the target. So this really makes targeting easy or a lot easier than if you have it off if you're using a controller. So there's also an aim assist for melee combat, same setting as the aim assist for your guns. And you have an additive camera motion, so you can set it to full, off, or reduced. You also have setting for weapon sway. You can set it to on weapon or on camera. Next would be the performance option. So you have setting for the crowd density. You can set it to low, medium, or high. So if you have an older hardware, then I suggest that you set it to low. Otherwise, leave it at high. And if you're not playing this game on a solid state drive or SSD, then you can turn on the slow hard disk drive mode. And next one is the vehicle camera. So you can adjust the height from third-person perspective. So you can set it to low or high. Under the miscellaneous options, you have the setting for tutorials. You can turn it on and off. Obviously, if this is the first time you're playing, then I suggest you leave it to on. You can also skip dialogues either by line or skip or continuous skip. Next setting is the nudity sensor. You can leave it, turn it off and on. And also the analytics, you can leave it off. So basically this will send some information to CD Projekt Red on how you play the game. Alright, let's move on to the graphics settings. So there are presets that you can just select if you're not, or if you don't want to adjust the graphics settings individually. So you have a low setting, medium, high, ultra, ray tracing medium, and ray tracing ultra. Anyway, the texture quality, you can set it to low, medium, or high. The field of view, when I booted the game for the first time, it was set to I think around 80, and this is important to me. Basically, you'll see more of the world around you, so I want it to be 100. So 100 is the maximum, but you can set it to lowest is 70. And then you can turn off and on the film grain, chromatic aberration, depth of field, lens flare, and you have different settings for motion blur. You can leave it completely off, low, or high. And for the advanced settings, you have some settings for shadows, lightning geometry, and a lot more for your AF, shadows, volumetric fog. As you can see, all of my settings are actually maxed out except for one, which is the screen space reflections quality. Maximum setting for this one is Psycho, but I didn't see any difference, so I just left it at Ultra. Okay, so you have different settings for ray tracing. You can completely turn it off, so you won't have all the other options. But if you decided to turn it on, say for example you only want the reflections to be ray traced, then you can set that to on, or for the shadows as well. And for the lighting ray tracing, you can leave it completely off, medium, ultra, or psycho. And the resolution scaling, DLSS is only for NVIDIA cards. So basically this is the deep learning super sampling technology by NVIDIA. If you want to know more about that, it can be for another video, or you can research it online. So if you have an NVIDIA card and you're running this on higher resolutions, let's say like 4K, then you can leave it to auto, or quality, balance, performance, or ultra performance. If you're running the game on 1080p, then there's no point in using DLSS, because if you're using an RTX card, then it will be able to handle it really well. Also, you have settings for your Fidelity FX. Alright, let's go on to the video settings. Currently, I only have one monitor connected or plugged in. If you have multiple monitors, you will see 0, 1, 2, and so on. So the VSync also, you can set it to your monitor's refresh rate. So I have a 144 Hertz monitor. You can also limit your maximum frame rate or FPS. So if you want to play the game on 40, 30, 10 or more, 240. So the limit is 240. Okay. And obviously the windowed mode setting, windowed borderless, or full screen. So for the resolution, this will also depend on your monitor. So if you have a 4K monitor, then you'll be able to play it on 4K. The lowest is 1024 by 768. So I prefer to play it at 1440p so I can get more FPS. Also, if you have the hardware for it, you can turn on high dynamic range mode. Now let's move on to the language settings. Currently, I only have one setting for my audio, But for the subtitles and the interface, we have different languages. So I'll just go through this really quick. So you have Polish, English, Spanish, French, Italian, German, Latin American Spanish, Korean, Simplified Chinese, Russian, Brazilian Portuguese, Japanese, Traditional Chinese, Arabic, Czech, Hungarian, Turkish, and Thai. So those are the languages currently available. For the interface, if you need this, you have settings for colorblind modes. Also, you can turn off damage numbers for either completely off, just individual, accumulated, or both. Also, you can change the setting for sticky damage numbers, same as the damage numbers. Hit indicator, you can turn it off or on. Also, you can turn off damage only or turn on both the setting for threat and damage indicator. Also, you can turn on crowds on minimap, but this will affect your CPU. You also have different settings for your HUD visibility or the heads-up display. So you can turn off all these settings or just a combination. So you have the minimap, health bar, stamina and oxygen, boss health bars, background chats, ammo counter, hints, action buttons, activity log, crosshair, drop tracker. And the last settings would be the key binding. So this is where you can change the settings for your key that you prefer. So you have settings for the brain dance, general, exploration and combat, the UI panels, and vehicle. Alright, so those are all the settings that you can change in Cyberpunk 2077. If you like this video, you can hit the like button and maybe consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.